Well, it's never a good sign when the team that beats you a few days after that game lets their head coach go. That's the situation for the UT Rockets as we welcome in Mike Robinson from the Rocket Radio Network. Mike Rob, thank you for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So last Friday, Toledo goes up to Kalamazoo. They lose to Western Michigan. Then a couple days later, Tim Lester is now looking for work as the former Broncos head coach. What in the world happened to the Rockets in Western Michigan?
Well, you know what? Tim Lester went out with a nice parting gift with a big victory over the Rockets, in an unsuspecting game that they didn't think they would win, in my opinion. But on a two-game win streak for Western Michigan, you didn't expect to see that happen, but that's what this business is about. If you don't live up to the expectations, your job is on the line, and everybody understand that. And as far as the Rockets going up to Western Michigan, they just kind of went out there, and kind of sputtered a little bit offensively, not having that continuity up front, not being able to run the ball effectively enough, and also seeing both of the quarterbacks go out there and DQ not having his best showing. The offense got going late, but, the defense played great, but, it was just an ugly game, so to say.
We talked about this a little bit last week. Western Michigan's front seven, extremely good, and you could tell that Toledo offensive line struggled mightily at times against the Broncos. As you touched upon it, we saw both Daquan Finn and Tucker Gleason in that game. Both had their moments, both had their struggles, both still have health issues as we head to Detroit on Saturday for the championship game.
We're fighting on going to this championship game banged up. The Rockets taking on this Ohio football team. They're on the backup quarterback. We may be on two backups, quarterbacks, three. I'm not sure what our situation looks like, but I do like our situation and I like the Rockets' chances. For one, Mark, the big thing about it is we have a really good set of wide receivers. And OU struggled mightily in the pass game, in the pass defensive area. So I think if the Rockets come out here with a game plan to throw the football, you don't have to worry about the elements. You got the nice Fort Field, 70 degrees. This feels really good in that place. It's going to be nice for a sideline guy like me to get a break because it was cold at Western. But, for OU, they're a physical team. They're going to be able to run the rock. And so it's going to be, can the Toledo Rockets stop another run game, and can they get the pass game going so they can allow themselves to run the football?
Not a big surprise that Toledo made it to the MAC championship game, but Ohio, on the other hand, second-year head coach Tim Albin, a lot of people were already washing their hands of him last season as they struggled, including a loss to the Rockets in Athens late last year. But now Ohio has won 6 in a row. They are the MAC East champions. What type of problems, other than their physicality, will the Bobcats present to the Rockets?
Like I said, with Rourke, obviously, arguably, probably the MAC player of the year on the offensive side, with him being out with the ACL injury, and you take a look and you say, okay, now they got a backup kid from Detroit himself out of Harris. This kid can run the football extremely well. And the other problem is, the other thing that OU presents is this physicality up front. You talk about it like it's not a big deal. It's a really big deal up front, because the Toledo Rockets on the defensive side, they're fighting to stay healthy up front in that front seven. You lose Butler, earlier in the season, you losing some of that depth. And then you also losing some of your guys like Terrence Taylor, not having those guys be able to rush the edge, and a big physical offensive line like OU is going to present. It's going to be about ball control, and can the Toledo Rockets be as good as they've been all season on that third down conversion percentage as OU? They do a really good job of converting about 40% on third down, and also in the red zone. They're one of the best teams in the country, and Toledo's had their struggles. So, I think that for Toledo, they are the better team on paper, but they don't have the momentum that OU brings in here with the 8-game winning streak.
It's been since 2017, the last time Toledo won the MAC championship game. A handful of guys were on that 17 team. Didn't get a whole lot of experience in that game. Interesting, perhaps the biggest player with the most experience in big games for the Toledo Rockets, Dallas Gant, the former Ohio State linebacker who played in a couple Big Ten championship games for Ohio State. So I know Dallas has talked about that this week, that the experience he's going to draw upon. You can't really explain what a big game is like to your teammates. It's something you just got to experience for the first time yourselves.
And I think this team has played in plenty of big games this season. I think they're prepared for this moment. Obviously, they wouldn't be here if they didn't get themselves into that situation. So minus the past 2 weeks, the Rockets been playing excellent football, and they know how to play at this huge stage. I mean, heck, they took Ohio State for a quarter and a half, to the wires and to the ropes, and then Ohio State stepped in. So as far as being a leader on that defense, Gant doesn't say much, but when he does talk, I think guys listen. And with his ability to play on the field, he makes the most tackles. He's leading this team, and then you got Deontay Johnson, who's another physical leader. I think the best player on our defense is Desjuan Johnson, who makes those plays up front. So on all three levels, we got to just bring it together. And as far as a big game, they've played in them. They may have lost a couple of them, like Bowling Green. That was a huge game, whether anybody want to say so or not. That was a big game. You sent Bowling Green bowling. Shouldn't have let that happen. But my opinion is, I think they're going to play a great game. They just got to get that offense together this week to meet with the defense, and then they're going to splash, because scoring 35-plus points a week, that's what the Toledo Rockets offense is known for, and defensively, they're known to shut teams down. They just got to have a good week together.
Neither Toledo nor Ohio are strangers to the MAC championship game, yet historically both of these programs have struggled in this game, so one of them will get a much-needed victory on Saturday. I want to thank Mike Robinson from the Toledo Rocket Radio Network for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mark.